Yo, what's going on, buddy? This is Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In today's video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reacting to Marshall versus Ohio State game reaction. Ohio State just played Marshall. And let me tell you something. There's a good thing. It's a good thing that I don't drink, because if I did that first half, holy shit, I would have been hammered. The final score ultimately ended up being 49-14. You look at that and you'd be like, well, that's pretty good. You beat the shit out of a team. You did your job. You won the game. First half was 28-14. Marshall scored first in that game. Ohio State made many mistakes, from kicking the ball out of bounds on kickoffs to Ryan Day losing his shit and getting personal foul penalties called on himself, to muff punt recoveries, to every single thing going wrong on this team on defense. Basically, I will say offense did their job. They held their ground. But I do kind of want to go through, talk about this game offensively, defensively, special teams, everything about the game, kind of give my opinion on kind of how I think the team did, how they played, how everything went, and kind of give my thoughts also as well, just like how the game went from first quarter to the fourth quarter, my emotions, kind of what I was thinking, what I was saying as the game kind of went on. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get straight into this. If you're going to enjoy it, as always, make sure you're going to drop a like on today's video. Be very much appreciated if you do so. But without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, let's go ahead and go over to the game. Real quick, for any of you that are returning watchers, you might notice I usually pull up ESPN. As you can see, ESPN has no box score, no nothing for this game, so I'm using Google. Just bear with me. But kind of going over the game, like I said, Marshall 14, Ohio State 49. You would look at this game, like I said in the intro, Ohio State, great job. You did your thing. You beat them down. And I would say if you were like a Penn State or like any of these other teams that like they're striving to be good, this would be a good score to look at and be like, yeah, good job, guys. You guys did great. But if you truly watch this game, Ohio State just got outplayed in the first half for some reason, and yet they were up 14 points at the end of the halftime. Like, it was the most weird thing ever. It was Marshall 14, Ohio State 28, but yet Ohio State was like outplayed almost in every aspect of the game. So let's kind of go through the first half. Like I said, Marshall, they went out there in the first half, in the first drive, and drove right down the fucking field. It felt like everybody was talking about this defense, Ohio State, bend but don't break. They're doing good. They'll maybe allow you to go down the field, but they won't let you get into like really good field goal range. You'll end up having to settle for a field goal. Sometimes you make it, sometimes you don't. This was a scenario where like it didn't matter what the defense did. The safeties could be in the correct spots. Linebackers be in the correct spots. Defense gets the pressure. Marshall was ready. Ohio State's front four, they were getting pressure, but Marshall, that quarterback, I forget his name, Stone Earl, he was getting the ball out quick, and he was precise with the throws. This boy right here, Elijah Metcalf, he is a dog. I don't care if he's on Marshall. You might be looking at him, he's playing for nobody's school. He's never going to be. No, this boy, he's going to be playing on Sundays. I mark my words. He will be on Sundays. I don't know if he's eligible to be drafted this year. If it's this year or next year, I don't really know much about him. But when he's eligible to be drafted, he will be playing on Sundays. He was cooking Ohio State's secondary. He was out there moving around. And the touchdown that he got, the one right here at the end of the second quarter, bear with me. That one was a little bit questionable. I'll put up on screen if I can find the photo, but if I can't find the photo for some reason, his foot was like right there. It was one of those where it's like you kind of have to just flip a coin and say, is he in or is he not? And that's kind of what the refs, I feel like, went with. Because if you looked at it, they called it a completion and a touchdown on the field. But when you go back and review it, it's like one angle looked like it wasn't a touchdown and he was touching the white line. And then there was another angle where they kind of like showed like a front angle, kind of toward like the side of his toes, more like his right hip, I guess it'd be his left side of his foot. And it looked like he was in bounds. Like there was like that sliver of red, like a turf right there on the inside of his foot. So like it was hard to just kind of decide. Now, as I said in the first half, so many mistakes. Kickoffs. We need to discuss this. The kicker, Fleming, I forget his name. If that was his name, he was just kicking the ball. And I get it. Urban Meyer kind of introduced this tradition where they were always precise kicking. They were trying to kick it kind of down around the 5 to 10 yard line. More like that left side. That's kind of where they aim, because they want to pin you down. They want to try to make it to where you're going to have to start around like your 10, 15, 20 yard line. They want to try to make it longest field possible. But this kicker, it's like he couldn't get it even past the 20 yard line. He was just kicking it out of bounds. And not once, not twice, but 3 fucking times. It's like if he would have learned to kick the ball actually to the back of the end zone, just kick it out of the back of the end zone, I guarantee you Marshall might have only gotten 7 points in this game. It probably would have just been the first drive. But instead, these drives they were getting, like I said, kicking the ball out of bounds, you're giving them short fields, bro. Now, I will say with the defense, in the second half, they settled down. They figured things out. But I will say Marshall, I think they did put in a backup quarterback, which he played okay. He was actually a little bit better than the first guy. But if that first quarterback was still out there, they probably would have made this game a little bit closer. Now, another thing in the first half, like I said, the fumble from Brandon Ennis, the punt returner, if he fumbled that ball and they got the ball and they would have ran in for end zone and there wasn't a penalty, they would have been 21-28 at halftime probably. This game would have been closer. That quarterback, like I said, doesn't get the cramps, doesn't have to go out in the end of the second or in the second half, and he was still out there. This game easily could have been like a shootout. This final score could have been probably 49, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it probably would have been like 35-49, and we would have been looking at this game like, Ohio State, hello, defense, are you there? But luckily, they got the job done. They got the win. A win is a win, I will say that much. Now, like I said a minute ago, I was kind of pissed off about Ryan Day, the way how he's screaming at the refs, he's costing his team a chance to even get 3 points, pushing them back 15 yards. That was a little bit bullshit, but I will say he had a reason to complain, and I like that. Ryan Day in the past, he was quiet, he didn't really scream much. He screamed for the wrong reason. That was a moment where, like, yes, Ryan, yell at the refs, please, like, make them understand, like, what the fuck are we doing? And I believe it was because they substitute some players, the clock, play clock should have got bumped up another 25 seconds, but instead they didn't. The other team was subbing guys in, but they were taking too long. Usually that constitutes to, I believe, a delay game on the defense. They didn't call it, and they didn't bump up another 25 seconds. So Will Howard, he's standing there thinking there's going to be another 25 seconds. Ryan Day had to go out there and call a timeout, but then it's like, you call a timeout, you're allowed to walk on the field now. The ref called a flag for him being on the field, yelling at him. It's like, it's my timeout. I'm allowed to be on the field. Like I said, there was a lot of bullshit going on. It was just a pure messy game. This is one of those games that I think Ryan Day just wants to put behind him, and he wants to just say, it's done, it's over with, we're going to fix the mistakes, and we're going to move on to next week to play Michigan State. Now, let's kind of go through every aspect. Like I said, offensively, special teams, and defense. Special teams, we're going to talk about it real quick. Special teams, when it comes to kind of how they did, like I said, Brandon Innes needs to stop fumbling the ball. The kicker they put in the second time, he actually did pretty good. He was just kicking on the back of the end zone. That's all we asked. It's like, just kick it to the back of the end zone, kick a touchback. It just feels like the most simple aspect of the game, special teams, seemed like it was the hardest thing for our team today. Now, I do believe special teams will get fixed and they'll figure it out. But I think, like I said, it just needs to get fixed. And it's one of the easiest things to fix, and I think they can get it done. Now, talking about the offense, because the offense was actually really good. Bearing one mistake, I believe it was throw Will Howard made to Jeremiah Smith down the sideline. I don't know if Jeremiah Smith just wasn't ready for the ball or if he didn't think he was going to get the ball because he was covered so well. Got picked off. It's whatever. I guess it's one of those throws where it's like, I would like Jeremiah Smith to know the ball is coming so he can kind of jump up and at least make a contested catch to where it's like, even if you don't catch it, try and contest it. Maybe you moss the guy, maybe you don't, maybe it goes incomplete. Just don't let it get picked off. But when it comes to the offense, they were efficient. Third down efficiency could have been a little bit better. But fourth down efficiency, obviously you see they went 1 for 1. Penalties, they limited them, kind of. But like I said, penalties, more importantly, they didn't go crazy is what I would say. They kept it to a bare minimum, 5 penalties. It's not good, but it's not bad. You look at the time of possession, you'll be like, man, this is not good. Probably because Marshall was, like I said, they were moving the ball down the field. With Ohio State, they were scoring like 2, 3, max 4 plays. I mean, you look at the yards per play, 10 yards. The first time they got the ball, I believe it was the second play, Mekabuka, screen pass, gone. Another drive they had, I believe they just pitched to Quinshon Jungins, gone, 75 yards. Ohio State's offense is built on just give him the ball and let him run. Plus, also, I like how balanced they are. 289 yards passing, 280 yards rushing. The running back duo between Quinshon Jungins and Travion Henderson is dynamic, and I love it. People talked all last year about how Michigan with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, they were supposed to be like the tandem. They are the best running back duos ever. Now we got a duo at Ohio State that this team might be the running team of the college football year. Now, from what I saw at Ohio State on the offensive side of the ball, I liked it. Like I said, Will Howard, he's going to get better. He needs to get better because there were a few throws that he missed that I don't like, that he missed them. I believe there was one he threw kind of behind. I believe the guy, receiver's name was, or not his name, his number was 15. He missed it. He threw the ball behind him. You got to clean that one up. And then, like I said, the interception, you got to get that one fixed. That one might just be something, a connection issue. Maybe him and Jeremiah Smith just need to get it figured out a little bit. I will say I like the play calling. A couple of times they're down inside the goal line. The play, I don't know what it was called, but the best way I can describe it, Will Howard, he kind of goes down, and he did it with Quinshon Jungins and Travion Henderson. They kind of act like he's going to be like a speed option, but then the running back at the last second kind of starts to go back the other way, and Will Howard can just hand it off to him, and they just go inside for a touchdown. It was a beautiful play. I love it. But offensively, like I said, I would give the offense an A minus probably on the way they played today, because they could have been a little bit better. And now the defense, because oh boy, this defense was a question mark for us. So you look at the defense and you say, well, 264 total yards, not pretty, but it's okay. Not with the way they were playing the past few weeks. They allowed 6 points against Akron and 0 points against Western Michigan. I think total yards between those 2 weeks was like probably this total right here. That's not good. Now I realize Ohio State was playing at a historic level of defense, and you don't expect them to stay at that level all season. But it would have been pretty nice if they did. It's like 139 passing yards. I can live with that. I expect the quarterback to eventually start throwing the ball well, especially with the fact that once you start getting towards the late game, you're going to start playing more cover 4, deeper concepts, prevent defense. You're going to let them throw the ball a little bit. But 125 rushing yards, that's not going to cut it. You got to keep that down around like 50 to 60 rushing yards. If you can keep it around 50 yards rushing, say like 120 passing yards, I can live with that area. But like I've been saying all season long, and even last year, this defense is a bend but don't break defense. They were bending today. They got the shit bent out of it. In that first drive, whenever the Marshall scored, I was literally sitting here watching the game like, okay, they're bending. And when Marshall scored, I was like, snap. Like, they've got to get shit fixed, because if they don't, it's going to be a long road, because they play Oregon this season. They play Penn State this season. They play Michigan this season. Those teams all like to run the football. If they can't fix the run defense and the way how the quarterback being able to run the ball, if they can't figure this shit out, because it's been hurting them the past few years, J.J. McCarthy last year hurt them in the last game of the season. If they can't fix this shit, we got problems. It's like this defense brought everybody back. They brought in transfers. They have the pieces. They got the coordinator. They got everything there to win the national championship this year, to beat Michigan most importantly. There is problems in this defense that I can already see. The first 2 weeks, we play very bad teams. Marshall, for some reason, those boys are goated. Like, Marshall, actually, they were able to hang with us, and I'm not surprised they did. But I think over the next couple weeks, like I said, the defense needs to figure things out. They've got to get out there. They got to start. They better start running their asses. Ryan Day better start running that defense hard and fix that defense up a little bit. And when it comes to the offense, like I said, A- performance. Defense, I give them a C+, B- performance. And I realize they held them to 14 points. That's good. But on this level, hell no. Now, I want to point something out. And by no means am I saying this was the worst performance ever. They should be shunned for, like, no. I just think they need to get out there and keep practicing. Because I realize it's the first 3 weeks of the season, a new group, and everybody's going to make the excuses. But here's my question. Why did the defense look like that against Marshall, but yet the past 2 weeks against Akron and Western Michigan, they looked a hell of a lot better than that? Last thing I'm going to say is this. Ohio State, great performance. You did good. You got the win. Like I said, a win is a win, but now you got to move on. Michigan State's up next week. It's your first road test of the season. We're going to see how these boys do. Will Howard, your first road game with Ohio State. Don't let us down. But other than that, I think I'm going to wrap up there. Hopefully you guys did go and enjoy today's video. If you did enjoy, as always, make sure you go and drop a like on today's video. Be very much appreciated if you do so. If you wanted to watch the entirety of today's video, thank you very much. And like I said, if you have a different opinion, do you agree or disagree with anything I said? Do you think that Ohio State played good, bad if you're an Ohio State fan? Do you think the offense played amazing? Maybe played a little under par today? Do you think the defense needs to get a hell of a lot better, like I said? Or do you think they played good? Whatever opinion may be, whenever it comes to the entire performance of how they did against Marshall, go ahead and leave your opinion down in the comment section down below. I'd be more than welcome to kind of talk about you guys. If you're a fan of the content that I do poster and you want to hit that big red subscribe button, feel free to do so. And don't forget to hit that little notification bell to be notified second I post. But without further ado, this has been ALOT Sports. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.